get in there. Again, bet tips provided a winning accumulator and also a banker bet. But look at this one. £3 stake, £50 return. Excellent. Although it did need a 93rd minute goal from Sadio Mane for Liverpool to be the winning bet. But again, happy with that. We were sitting very comfortable with the other matches, to be fair. And it was just the Liverpool game that kept us waiting. But £3 stake, £50 return, a great start. And as I said, the banker bet came in as well. So yeah, the banker bet. Well, firstly, Juventus very, very close to letting us down. They were 2-1 down, 82nd minute they equalised and scored in the 93rd minute to win 3-2. Tottenham, Leeds, and in the end City, to be fair, were fine. As you can see, AC Milan game versus Genoa ended up being postponed, so it did mean that the accumulator was only a fourfold. Obviously meant the odds were shorter as well. As you can see, I cashed out personally before the City game. I think I lost £4 by doing so, quite frankly. As much as I fancied City, what's the point for £4? So, yeah, but again, another banker bet. That's 4 out of 5 banker bets that we've won since starting Bet Tips, and it's going to keep running. So, this week's banker bets. I've gone for a treble. I think the obvious one, the first of all, Man City. Man City to beat Wolves away. Now, yes, Man City are just firing at the moment. Wolves, albeit they drew their first game, and they looked okay versus Everton. I just again think Man City will be too strong. I'll go into a bit more detail in a second. Wigan to beat QPR. Well, Steve McLaren's QPR. To be honest, looking shocking at the moment. And McLaren carries on his poor runner form in terms of management. So, again, Wigan beating Stoke at the weekend as well, which obviously was a great result. So, again, I expect Wigan to beat QPR. And lastly, Liverpool to beat Brighton. Again, Liverpool are looking very strong, attacking, going forward, but also defensively for once. They actually look like they are controlling games and not looking like they're going to get beaten. And obviously at home at Anfield versus Brighton, it should be definitely a banker option. So this 5-2 treble, as you can see, I've staked £20 with the potential returns of £70. So once again, I've gone for 2 long shot bets. I'll go into more detail in terms of each selection. But the first long shot bet is anytime correct score. And it's an accumulator, which are 5-fold. I've gone for Man City, to be winning 2-0 versus Wolves at any time. Arsenal to be winning 1-0 at any time versus West Ham. Bournemouth versus Everton to be 1-1 at any time. QPR versus Wigan. Wigan to be winning 1-0 at any time. And lastly, Liverpool to be winning 2-0 versus Brighton. And the last long shot, again, both teams to score in both halves. Again, this is based on a few things in terms of current results, recent results, head-to-head form, etc., etc. But just to run through the last long shot before going into detail. The Arsenal versus West Ham game, I expect or hope, based on this bet, obviously, both teams to score in both halves. And lastly, Norwich versus Leeds. Again, both teams to score in both halves. It's 62.75 to 1. So I've done a £5 stake, which obviously returns, as you can see, £318.75. Superb. So going into detail. So firstly, the banker bet, Man City to beat Wolves. I think it's fairly obvious in terms of current form for obvious reasons, looking at City's recent run of results. But yeah, so obviously with Wolves lost 2-0 their last game, drew their first game 2-2. And obviously Man City have, quite frankly, started off superbly, winning every game, including the 6-1 win versus Huddersfield. So again, I've gone Man City to beat Wolves. In terms of head-to-head, In terms of head-to-head, so again, to be honest, not much to choose from. A 0-0 result back in the League Cup in 2017, which, as always, the League Cup isn't one to use in terms of form guides. And then back in 2011, 2012, yes, City won both games, but obviously that was a long, long time ago. So again, based on more recent form, City to beat Wolves is the first selection on the banker bet. So the second selection, Wigan to beat QPR. Look at QPR's recent run of form, and obviously they got beat 3-0, as I said, their last game, a massive 7-1, 2-1, 1-0. It just really hasn't started well at all for Steve McLaren. And obviously Wigan, they've been a little bit inconsistent potentially there, but the last game 3-0 away to Stoke was a great result, and I think they're slowly but surely finding their feet potentially in the Championship. So again, with QPR's run of form, Wigan for me to beat QPR is definitely the second selection on the banker bet. And lastly, Liverpool to beat Brighton at Anfield. Again, Liverpool have started off a near perfect record with 4-0, 4-0, 2-0. Great start, absolutely great start. Every time I've watched them, they look frightening. And again, defensively look okay. Brighton obviously won 3-2 their last game, but before that, obviously losing 2-0 and 4-0. And to be honest, Liverpool, like I said at the moment, just look too strong for a team like Brighton. In terms of head-to-head, as you can see, in terms of the head-to-head, last season, Liverpool 4-0 and 5-1. So clearly looking exceptionally good in terms of recent form. And even before that, back in 2011, Liverpool smashed them 6-1. I really don't see any hope for Brighton with this one. So hopefully by the time Liverpool play Brighton, the other two have come in and we're just waiting for Liverpool to smash them, no doubt. So in terms of the long shots, both teams to score in both halves, looking at the research, so Arsenal, West Ham, obviously both under new management, both very attacking type teams and defensively not looking too great at the moment. And this is why I think that there's going to be plenty of goals. Again, the London derbies form is a hard one. It literally could go either way in terms of West Ham to win or Arsenal to win. But in terms of goals, I expect plenty of goals. They're both good at scoring, and they're both, like I said, fairly attacking, but defensively they both worry me. So yeah, definitely on this one, I definitely think both teams will score, but obviously the odds on a long shot, it'd be good if we went further with that. So I've gone with the both teams to score in both halves. So in terms of the second selection for the both teams to score in both halves, Norwich versus Leeds. Recent games, there have been a few goals, nothing drastic, albeit Norwich obviously lost 4-3 at home. But actually for me, it was the recent form head-to-head. As you can see, albeit one game ended 1-0 last season, other than that, there's been quite a few goals. So naturally, I think that there's going to be goals in this game. So interestingly, I think that it could be the both teams to score in both halves. Again, with this bet, it is a very, very long shot, but it's one that a few people are getting right. And obviously, when you get it right, the reward is very good. So going back to the anytime correct score, and just a bit of, I suppose, more detail in terms of why I chose these particular scores. So the Man City Wolves game, as predicted beforehand with the Huddersfield game, there was going to be goals, and I expect goals again for City. So obviously the odds on 1-0 to City is very, very slim. So I've gone for 2-0 at any time. I expect that to be more, potentially, like I say, could be another 3-4, even more potentially for City. In terms of the Arsenal-West Ham game, again, hard to call in terms of who will win this. Score draw looks likely, hence why I've gone for this to be both teams to score in both halves as well. But I do think at home Arsenal will start the better. I think they'll come out the traps better. I think they'll try and get the crowd up, and obviously that's why I've gone for 1-0 to Arsenal at some point. Again, don't be surprised if West Ham pull one back, or it finishes 2-2, 3-2, or something like that. But I expect Arsenal to come out the traps definitely a lot quicker. In terms of the Bournemouth Everton game, can't call it, to be honest. Everton, obviously with the new signings, and in particular Richarlison, looks very, very good. But again, Bournemouth at home and under Eddie Howe tactically are looking good. Callum Wilson, he's started the season superbly. So I expect them both to score, and therefore I expect a score draw. So I've gone with the anytime correct score of 1-1. In terms of QPR versus Wigan, again, QPR's run of form is appalling. They're conceding goals left, right and centre. So I expect Wigan to come out the traps and get an early goal there. So again, them to be winning 1-0 at any time looks a good option. And lastly, Liverpool versus Brighton. Again, Liverpool will score, I think, a few goals here. Probably will end up 3 or 4-0 to Liverpool this. But again, at home, I expect them to score at least 2. I don't expect them to concede. So again, 2-0 at any time looks a really good option. As you can see, I've staked £5, potential return of £80, 85p. So thanks again for listening to my latest YouTube video. Please subscribe, and please also click on the bell item to be able to receive the notifications of each video I do. I'm not going to bombard you with betting tips. Generally, I do a weekend set of betting tips. I'm not one to bet during the week on the Australian Super League, on a team that you've never heard of to score a goal. I like to provide bets that people will recognise but also enjoy, rather than just any sake of bet. I'm on Twitter, BetTips03, and Facebook as BetTips. But please continue to watch my videos and subscribe.